Okay, we ready for fireworks? We've got the volume at least. Pastor Raymond, can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, I see him.
Yep.
I'll have to have you unmute when you're ready to speak.
Who are we met? Oh, it's here. Oh. So,
Don't worry. Got a couple minutes anyway.
how much more time do you have at school
It's finals week this week.
this week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, but I'll stay
Have you worked-
busy right through. Oh, yeah.
You work through the summer? now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But it's good. It'll slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, do you need,
This?
you've got it, okay,
Yeah.
great,
I think you put it on my box.
yep. Ken, can you give us a mic check?
Check.
Okay. We're good that way, thank you.
Ready? Ready. Welcome everybody to the Monday, May 3rd, 2021 City Council meeting. A roll call. All councilors are present. We have some department heads coming in via Zoom. The invocation and inspirational thought. This evening we are pleased to have Father David Raymond from the Holy Rosary Catholic Church. Are you there, Father?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead and formally introduce yourself and
Sure.
do an invocation for us.
Sure. My name is Father David Raymond. I'm the pastor of the Parish of the Precious Blood. I'm here in Caribou at Holy Rosary, and I'm very pleased to be here with you all. It's been a great day. Let us pray together. Lord God, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of community, Spirit of justice, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead the community in which we all live and work and play. Help them as leaders, not to ask, how do we fix this? But rather, what do we need to learn? How might we need to change? And to whom do we need to listen? Remind us, because we all forget from time to time, especially in the noisiness of what passes for political debate today, that they may not only be leaders but also servants, and that it is their responsibility and ours to serve the common good of all. Remind us, Lord, that no matter where we live, everyone is our neighbor. And throughout the ages, prophets have called the leaders of the people to respect and protect the least of those among us, our children, the elderly, the poor, those who are hungry, those who have no homes, those who are ill in body, mind, and spirit, the strangers, the immigrants in our midst, those who live on the margins, those who are alone, those who are forgotten. Grant us, Lord, the wisdom and courage to know and do what is right and true. May we speak out when it is time to speak to speak out, and listen patiently and receptively when it is time to listen. May we always be guided by the spirit of community, the spirit of justice, and the spirit of love. We pray in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, and that we hold good and right and true. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members, for having me on. Very pleased to do it.
Council, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Public forum. Nobody here from the public, and I don't believe I see anything.
We have one letter in your packet for the public forum.
Oh, which one was that? Is that the one that was in the, not this one?
Well, that's two. There was one that was in your packet from Mark and Claudette Draper.
Oh,
It pertains, they wanted to speak a little bit about the bidding process tonight for the tax acquired properties. Page 2 of your packet.
page 2 of the packet. I'll read this then, I guess. May 3rd, 2021, to the Caribou City Council from Mark and Claudette Draper. Subject, tax acquired property, number 56, 348 Belanger Road. Good evening, Mayor Smith and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to express our thoughts regarding the bids received for the tax acquired property referenced above. We live at 336 Belanger Road, which abuts the subject property. During the 18 years we have lived here, the subject property has been abandoned, dilapidated potato house, which subsequently burned, leaving no foundation rubble. To our knowledge, it has been tax acquired by the city at least twice during that time. This is our third attempt to purchase it from the city. In this current round of bidding, we were apparently outbid by $100 or less by the most recent previous owner of the property, which is Land Ho Incorporated, a national land holding company. Land Ho apparently did not pay the taxes on the property the last time they owned it, thus resulting in the most recent taking of the property by the city. During their previous ownership, Land Ho made no investment in the property, with the apparent goal of simply flipping it for a profit. As an abutter, our intention is to clean up the property with the hope of eventually constructing a building on it. We have never been late on paying our property taxes and absolutely intend to do so on this property as well. So as we see it, the council has a choice of accepting a bid of a tax-paying abutting landowner with a plan to improve the property for an additional $100. The bid of National Land Holding Company with a recent history of not paying the taxes on this exact property. If it makes any difference, we are willing to match the bid submitted by Land Ho. We will note that either way, this is our final attempt to purchase the property. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Mark and Claudette Draper. We can keep that in our minds when we get to agenda item number 7A. And this one too.
Yes.
The Board of City of Caribou. My name is Leanna Giggy. I'm asking that you allow me to pay off my 2018 taxes and return my deed to 399 Madawaska Road. I propose that I make two payments, the first one of $700 on the 3rd of May, the second of $800 on the 3rd of June. I then intend to pay off 2019 by November 2021. I will make monthly payments starting July 3rd, 2021. If this is not acceptable, please let me know if there is something more I can do. Sincerely, Lena M. Giggy.
Mayor and Council, Ms. Giggy is on Zoom tonight. I don't know if she'd planned to speak, but relative to her letter, since having submitted that letter, she did also submit a bid on one of the properties, again, for further discussion under 7A.
Okay. Could she stay with us when we go till 7A? Or
She's on here now.
if she has something she'd like to say, go ahead.
Ms. Giggy, would you like to speak to the council tonight?
Yes, I can stay on if needed.
Where's the tax report? Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great.
Yes, I can stay on until it's time.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Oh, where are we at now? 5A, minutes April 20th, 2021, regular council meeting. Everybody has a chance to review these, are in your packet. Any errors or omissions?
Move to accept the regular council meeting minutes from April 20th, 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Accept.
You got a quarter?
Doug was
Quarter.
first.
Courtney was the loudest.
Hey.
Okay, any discussion? Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Quick. 6A is some consent item. At the last meeting, we had several rubbish hauler permits we renewed, and I believe there's 3 more.
Yes.
We put them on the consent agenda. Eventually, at a later time, we're gonna have this, that city management can approve these without coming to council. But we'll do that at a later time, so.
Make a motion, we accept rubbish hauler permit renewal for city sanitation and Crown of Maine sanitation and Pine Tree Waste. Both items 6A, B, and C.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Consent item, discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. There are some things for us to sign. Okay, now we're at 7A. Bid openings, award appointments of tax acquired properties. And I don't know how, I was reviewing these, and then some of these, what was staff's, does staff have a recommendation on any of these, or are we gonna have to go through these one by one, or?
Just to highlight those that were with regards to the public forum tonight, and then there's also one that's highlighted in red in your packet with regards to 142 Lower Linden. The bid that came in was far below the minimum bid price, but they submitted a letter kind of detailing or outlining what they would propose to do with that property with the city. So with regards to that one, we could certainly ask the council to table discussion on that one, and we could have some more executive session discussion another night if you'd like with regards to that property.
Probably, yeah, that's probably a good idea on that for the discussion. Okay, so which one?
So with regards to the Land Ho property that was discussed by Mark and Claudette Draper, that's bid number 57 down near the bottom of page 11. And you'll see that, as was indicated by Mr. Draper, the minimum bid price was $1,200. Landho Company bid $1,501, and Morgan Claudette Draper bid $1,425. Landho Inc. was the prior owner, and actually was the prior owner before that. So it has gone tax delinquent twice now, with Landho Company being the property owner that's let it go for taxes twice.
So how many years before it goes to bid? Or just remind me again. Is it 3 years?
3 years.
Delinquent on taxes. So Landho Inc. has gone delinquent on taxes on not only bid 23, but bid 54 and bid 57 for 3 years on each property.
I know that for 57, yes. I don't know for sure on 54 or 58.
Well, in order for us to tax acquire that property,
Right,
it would have to be, 3 years.
right. But I don't know as far as 54 and 58, if they are also the prior owner. I know our finance director is on Zoom. Carl, can you confirm on bid 54 and 58, was Landho and even 23, were they the prior owners that let these go for tax forfeiture?
I don't believe so. I think it was just the Lands Road property that they were a previous owner.
Number 57.
But
So-
they have other properties in Caribou.
Yes. and-
Are they current on those taxes?
I would have to go back and look. I don't have Trio on this computer. I could definitely look into it for you.
Okay, well, that's something that we should know. Landho Inc. is a company out of New Jersey. And what these guys do is they buy land and then try to flip it for a profit, which is all fine and good. But what they're actually doing is giving false promises to the people that buy the land. I did a little research, and what I found is that they've got multiple properties in Caribou. Wonderful scenic pictures of the Ursuck River. But I've been down by those properties because I've lived here my entire life. River doesn't look like that down there. They've not only done this in Caribou, Maine, but they've done this all across the country. Colorado, Arizona. There's actually a news article that I watched where Landho Inc. said, come down and buy this property. It's pristine, and they had wonderful pictures of flowering cactus and everything. Some people bought the land, and what they ended up with was a big pile of sand. Now, these people come to our community and have left this property in shambles for 6 years now. And I'm wondering what else they're gonna do. They've got a property down here, off this street.
Water Street?
Yeah, they've got a property down here that's literally this little rectangle. Wonderful pictures of the Ursuck River next to it. Same thing down by the scrap yard. Same thing. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with having a company from New Jersey taking advantage of people to come to this community. If people want to come to this community for the right reasons, to enjoy the wonderful winter sports we have, enjoy the great fishing on the Ursuck River and everywhere else, I mean, that just is going to put a sour taste. And for me, I wouldn't accept any bids from Landho just because of the shenanigans they put online. And I'd even go so far as to make a motion that we deny any bids that Landho Inc. has made on this property, on these properties. Even the one I know that, like on 16 Sincock Street, they're the only one that that bid on it. I'd even reject that. We don't need these companies from New Jersey or wherever who sit, 10, 12 stories up, buying land in our community and then turning it into shambles. I mean, the barn burned, you know, obviously nobody was taking care of it. So, if it's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, on bid number 12, bid number 23, bid number 54, bid number 57, bid number 58.
What are the numbers again we're going at here?
We're going at
Number 12.
bid number 12,
Mm-hmm.
bid number 23.
Okay, so, okay, yeah, okay, just give them to me so I can look at it.
Yep.
Yeah, 23,
Bid number 23. It would be bid number 54,
54.
bid number 57,
Mm-hmm.
bid number 58.
Wow, there's no more, is there?
There's no more.
Okay, so,
To reject their bid and give it to the next person in the line.
well, let's see, okay, the only one,
The only one that doesn't have any next person in the line is bid 23, and I say we just put it back out there, as we normally would if there's no bids.
so not to reject, we would just bid 12, 23, 54, and 57. We'll just state who we're gonna award the bid to.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
you can do that too.
Would that be the easiest rather than say rejected bid?
Do that
Okay.
too, yeah.
So we wanna do,
I guess we
Do
can do
that
them
one.
one at a time? Would
Yeah.
that work?
okay, we'll start with 57.
Okay. Yes,
So
Dennis?
Just for clarity, the council, you as a council have the right to accept or reject any and all bids.
Yeah.
But, and I appreciate the comments that you've shared. I would request that the council make that a formal motion not to accept that, and that we have in the findings of the minutes, the reasons being they're an outside company, they haven't demonstrated their ability to retain the properties that they had, and that way we're demonstrating we have some findings as to why you're rejecting all of those bids.
Yeah.
So back to his original motion.
Yes,
To
please.
reject those bids, and then we'll go back through and do these.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So-
reject all of, so the motion will be a motion that we reject all
12.
bids, bid number 12, bid number 23. Sorry, Danielle's gonna write this down, I'm sorry.
I already got the numbers down.
Okay, bid number 54, bid number 57, bid number 58. Due to the fact that Landho Inc. has demonstrated the inability to pay taxes on time and do proper maintenance on the land that they bid on.
I'll second that.
Second. Discussion? Air,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Nay.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Okay, so now, on the rest of these, I believe, okay, we have to go through, we'll start with 57, and the rest of these, the second one in line met the minimum bid anyway, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So there's no,
Yeah, there's no.
we're not doing anything that way, okay.
Yeah.
Start with 57.
Make a motion that we accept Mark and Claudette Draper's bid of $1,425 for the property at 348 Belanger Road in Caribou.
Second.
Discussion? Air,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Mark Claudette Draper, bid number 57. Which one do you want to go to next? Anyone can.
Let's start at the top.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay, just, let's start with, let's go right up to bid 1 then.
Make a motion we accept Danielle Jaros, I
Second.
hope, for 11 Lower Washington Street for the bid amount of $3,000.
Discussion? You got the second on that, Danielle? Okay, discussion? Air,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. That motion carries. Bid 1 is done. Wait, no, bid number 2, no bids, excuse me. Okay, number 12.
Make a motion that we accept Douglas Legacy's bid for whatever address on Fontaine Drive for $1,401.
Second.
Discussion? Air,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Bid number 12, so that takes care of that. We are at bid number 23, so that one,
Yep.
that's out. Bid 28, how do we want to handle that?
I move that we table it for executive session. It's
Okay,
under
add
real
a-
estate.
Yeah, we'll put that on the 17th.
Second.
Moving to second that we table this to executive session until 17th. Discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along, I like it. Let's see, now we're at, there's no bids on 47. No bids on 48 Liberty Street. Number 54.
Make a motion, we accept Leonard Lednum's bid of $615 for some address on the Van Buren Road. Can we, Dennis, for the love of all the sacred and holy, it's so difficult. I, like Joan, like to know where these places are, and to sit there and run up the Van Buren Road and try to find who own these properties. Can Carl put an
There's
address?
actually no address with the property because it's land only. The legal description is the map and lot number.
Well, then you can put something like go 3 or 4 miles down the road. I mean, because even then, map and lot number, you still got to go up through.
Paces.
Anyway,
And some of these are not directly on the road, so you wouldn't actually be
Right.
able to drive by them. I mean,
No
like,
idea.
but we'll,
look, if we need to
Yeah.
go out to my pickup and draw a map on the side like farmers do, we can. You know,
Do that.
or include a map, you know, just with the outline. This is where property is. Anyway, so that's to accept his bid for $615.
Second. I don't know if someone has or not.
Okay, so we are on 54, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seconded discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
aye.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. This
Okay.
next one,
This one is the one that Miss Giggy was
okay.
asking about.
But she has to make the payments, but she also did put a bid in for the 5,000. That meets the minimum bid.
This one, again, the high bidder was $10,000. The minimum bid amount was $5,000, which Ms. Giggy did provide as well.
No.
I think that we have a policy, and on this policy, once that goes into foreclosure, you need to pay it in full in order to get the property back, and you need to pay it in full by a certain date. The place is awful, and it's been that way for a long time, and I don't think that this should go back. I'm not even sure that anybody's living there right now.
No.
I don't think so. But I think it should be, I would make a motion to award this property to Chad and Chelsea Cavagnero for $10,000.
Second.
Moved to seconded.
We do have Ms. Giggy on the line if you'd like to hear from her.
Yeah, well, under discussion. Moved to second. Any discussion? Ms. Giggy?
Hello?
Or Mrs. Giggy? Yes. What would you-
Yes, the house is in shambles right now because I was pregnant and not able to run the wood stoves. The people I entrusted to take care of it, did not. I did not realize that till I got back into Caribou, and found out about what was going on with the house. I plan on having the house all cleaned up and worked on as soon as, this is cleared up. I didn't intend to lose the house, because of COVID and other circumstances that have come up. With the loss of my husband and my mother, I wasn't able to, like I said, be there. But I do plan on taking care of it. The last 8 months have been the worst of my entire life. I did try to pay it off completely. When I found out, I came into Dennis's office, after giving him that letter with $5,000 to pay it off completely. And he informed me that you guys requested it still go out to bid, so I put in the bid, but, this is the only place that
Is this your primary residence?
it was, but because my kids, I wasn't able to be there. Like I said, as soon as this was resolved, I have my brother coming, to help me get it all taken care of. He didn't wanna waste the trip from Alabama, if I lost the house. So, I am asking to give me a chance to prove that I can get it to where it needs to be. It's something that you guys are proud of for helping me do. So I request that you, vote to let me have it back. I understand that there is another vote out there. It does not surprise me that the next door neighbor went as high as he did. I've had issues with him before, so that's a different subject, but, like I said, I do request that you guys give me the chance to get it back where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion, more discussion from council? Air.
Aye. Oh, shoot.
Is this the-
Discussion, okay.
Yeah, is this the first time that it's been acquired for taxes
I don't know.
under this ownership?
Carl?
Do we know?
I don't,
Carl, can you confirm its history as far as being tax acquired?
It hasn't been tax acquired before now. This is the first time the city's acquired it.
When was it purchased?
Late 2017.
Okay.
any other questions from council? Or discussion? Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Bid number 57 has already been taken care of. I believe, yes.
Yes.
Yep, it has.
Yep.
Bid 58,
Make a motion that we award the bid to Nor'easter Exposure, Justin Powers, for $1,200 to Broadway, on Broadway Street.
Second.
seconded, discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Don't need the cheat sheet here anymore, I guess. I'm down pretty good. Doug?
Dennis, I'd like to go back up to bid 28 and get a clarification again on why we're postponing or we're tabling that.
Just as a matter of discussion, you could certainly discuss it tonight, how you want to proceed. The minimum bid amount was set at $75,000. If the council is willing to accept $10,000, then you either need to put it back out to bid and as that being the minimum bid and see if there's other people that are also interested in that amount, because right now it's been advertised at the $75,000. So,
But anybody could have put in a bid. Anybody could have put $1 on the place. It was, we told them what we were looking for, and the market came back. And granted, it's not what we're asking, but everybody was given the same opportunity to reply with $1 amount. Whether we'd accept it or not is not relevant, in my opinion, but I'm game for a good discussion, but. And if we're gonna, are we going into that tonight?
I'd put it on for the 17th, but we can discuss it tonight. I
I
mentioned
think that
17.
the discussions I've had is, you know, time does matter,
Okay.
and
The bid that's in your packet is conditional, which, I mean, be that
I
what it is,
understand
it's
that.
part of the offer, is they went into the power plant properties, they did some coring of the metals that are in there. They believe that because of the amount of work involved in demolishing the buildings, you're talking about the potential asbestos cleanup, the dynamiting, blasting of the buildings down. They believe that the cost of being able to create a clean site for the city, that $10,000 was the most that they were willing to put into the overall project. And I understand what you're saying. It is the only bid that we got. And that's, if the council were to reject the bid tonight, then it opens the door for us to work a little bit more closely on the negotiation side with interested parties. But to say that we're going to accept $10,000 when we said the minimum bid was $75,000, that's my concern.
We can discuss it, and then, because it's tabled, and then come back and decide whether to accept or reject the bid, so we haven't determined that yet, correct?
Right.
everybody was, you know, it depends what camp you come from. You know, everybody was given an equal opportunity to put a number in. We were asking for a certain price. Federal government has a certain number they want to spend in Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Well, lo and behold, it's more than that. So everybody was given the equal opportunity, and I see that as an albatross on the taxpayer's neck, and we have a chance to do something with it.
We can discuss that this evening afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
So we did 58, correct? Bid 59.
Make a motion that we accept Dean R. Scoville's bid of $10,025 for 14 Haynes Street.
Second the motion.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
second, I move second discussion. Air,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Number 60 out there. 63. Bid 66, the last one.
Make a motion we accept Diana Willette's bid of $2,700 for 110 Washburn Street.
Second.
Second discussion.
Is that one of them that we cleaned up there? Wasn't that the one
Next door.
top of the hill?
No,
Yep,
yeah, next door neighbor.
that's all I needed.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep, cool. Need the Air,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Motion carries. We whittled that list down yet again.
Yes.
It's getting pretty slim. I like it. I hope everybody does too. So that's Award of Public Works Materials on page 14.
So, page 14 of your packet, this is our usual annual bid process to go out for certain materials: culvert, street paint, shim and patch, country paving, the sand and in-town paving. Typically we award this bid or these bids to the lowest bidder. The companies that are listed there are the ones which were invited to bid. They're generally those that are in the market for these things. You'll see that for culverts, the low bid was E.J. Prescott out of Gardner, Maine. For street paint, we only received one bid from Franklin Paint out of Franklin, Massachusetts. I believe they had the bid last year as well. As far as shim and patch, the low bid is Soderberg Construction for $72. Dave, was that per yard or square foot, do you recall?
The bid for the paving is per ton.
Okay. So $72 per ton for the shim and patchwork. The country paving, lane construction was the low bidder at $77.80 per ton. Ironically, the in-town paving, lane construction was equal to Soderberg construction for the in-town paving work. What Dave and I have talked about is where lane construction is the low bidder for country paving, certainly we'd recommend they be awarded that work. But where Soderberg construction and lane, in a sense, bid the same amount for in-town paving, that in-town paving work be given to Soderberg construction for the in-town paving.
It's essentially, that was gonna be my next question, so we're gonna split it that way. Of course, they would get the,
Right, so Lane would get the country paving at the $77.80 and Soderberg construction would get the in-town paving.
I can tell you, I'm pretty satisfied with what Soderberg's did out on the Grimes Road last year. I mean, and they're out in the country. They're a pretty top-notch deal, and they were quick, they were efficient, they did a really good job.
I think they both do great work. We went down this road last year, and I tried to get in a little clause here about low bids and town, local businesses. I'm in favor of dividing that contract in town between the two that had the identical price. That's the way I think. Split the tonnage.
because we're essentially doing 2 years of work in 1 year, right?
For the
We didn't do-
in-town?
Yeah,
No.
no. I guess that really doesn't matter. but- So, we gotta go through these individually, I guess. So we're at, so what did you recommended split the in-town paving on?
I'll go by the numbers. In town was a tie, split the tonnage,
And then a little bit on the rest of them?
on low bid on the rest of them.
So, do we have a motion? Is that a motion, or how are we doing that, Doug?
You tell me whether you want to take them one at a time or move the slate.
Let's do them one at a time. The results for culverts.
Is that for all of our culverts, or how does that split up? Are they 30-footers, 20-footers? Is that for all the culverts that we need to buy this year?
Dave?
Yes, that, the inventory level is considerably higher this year because of low use from last summer. So we don't need as many. That does include 2 60-inch culverts, which is about half of what that bid is, so, and the culverts are all 20-footers.
Where are we putting the 60-inch culverts?
So I have culverts designated for the, Belanger Road Brook. The bottoms are rotting in out, and I've had them here for a little while, but I loaned, 2 to the, rec department for a project they had, and these 2 are replacing what was already here.
Okay, well, however we wanna do this, if somebody can make a motion, they can do them individually, if somebody wants to make it all one, it doesn't matter to me. Start with the first one, culverts.
And make a motion that we accept E.J. Prescott from Gardner, Maine.
Second?
Moved and seconded, discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Bid awarded to culverts. The street paint. We only had one bidder, so.
Yeah, make a motion we accept Franklin Paint from Franklin, Mass.
Second that.
Seconded, discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Bid awarded to Franklin Paint. Results, shim patch.
Make a motion we accept Soderberg Construction for $72 a ton.
Second that.
Discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Shim patch awarded to Soderberg Construction. Country Paving.
I'd make a motion for Country Paving to the low bidder, Lane Construction.
Second.
Second, discussion. Air.
Nay.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have one nay vote. There you go. Sand.
Make a motion we accept K&M Sand and Gravel out of Grand Falls, New Brunswick.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Bid awarded to K&M Sand and Gravel. And the last bid in town paving was a tie bid for the low.
I'd make a motion that we split the in-town tonnage between Lane Supply and Soderberg Construction for the $81 a ton.
Second on that? I'll second that.
Lane was bought out by a Italian company, weren't they? They're not even Lane anymore. Northeast Paving, aren't they?
What's that?
Isn't Lane, weren't they bought out by an Italian company? They're not in Presque Isle.
Well,
They're
but the ones that do that
it's Northeast Paving, isn't it? Now?
it is. I
Yeah.
think it is Northeast Paving
Yeah,
down
it
there.
is Northeast Paving.
Okay, so should
But
we have
it's
Northeast
also-
Paving there instead of Lane Construction?
Yeah, that's my mistake. I should have changed that.
Mind you, is an Italian company. I mean, yeah, they may have, you know, ties in Presque Isle, but it's what the bottom dollar goes overseas. Kinda like buying a Toyota.
But it's like, we have a local contractor who is a Caribou taxpayer that does 90% or 95% of their trucking.
Yeah,
It
that
is
may be
half
so,
one,
but
sixth of another.
Yeah, I received a phone call about that as well.
I don't know, that's why I bought a Ford, you know. It's American made.
I can't second.
Parts
that.
may be made
Yeah.
in Mexico, but
Okay, so there was a motion to split the tonnage equally between Lane's Construction and Soderberg Construction. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Air.
nay.
Boma.
Nay.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrell.
Nay.
Willie.
Nay.
Aye. So where are we at?
Make a
4-3.
motion, make a motion.
What's that?
4
4-3
to 3.
4-3
against.
against. 4-3 against.
Make a motion that
Motion
we
fails.
accept Soderberg Construction for in-town paving.
Second?
Discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
No.
Terrell.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. That's behind us. What's next? Manager's report, right?
Yes. Again, I'm just going to highlight a few of these, not go through the whole list. On near the top under events and marketing, I want to highlight, just make everybody aware that we are working on a Thursdays on event. We're still dealing with COVID regulations. It may not be downtown, but we're working on a concert potentially down on another piece of property. And so we'll continue to work on that, those details, and let everybody know, but we are doing the planning and working towards starting some Thursdays on events. The Bird's Eye cleanup, we received word from DEP just today. They apparently thought that we were going to be sending them some more soil samples, and we were waiting to do more soil sampling until we had their permission to move forward with that additional work. And so we think that that'll be moving forward here soon. The facade improvement program, I have in the manager's report, see council packet for discussion item. That was held over from the last meeting. You may recall that we tabled, or that you tabled that discussion at the last meeting. I do want to highlight for you, we did find an administrative faux pas already in the program. And that is that the information that went out at the time did not include a use it or lose it date like many grants do. Typically, economic grants have an 18-month period, and so it really shouldn't be an issue as far as the applications that we received. But right now, that's what we're leaning towards, and I've already directed the staff to update the document so that we have that made very clear in the future. Under administrative projects, I think the two main ones to highlight, the structural work at the fire station. They are now on the roof, beginning to do the roof membrane updates, and ground has started to move at Teague Park for the splash pad as of today. So those are big things. The cable franchise renewal, there is, in the past, we've kind of been waiting for the legislature to decide how they wanted to treat franchise agreements and what impacts that was going to have. There is legislation that's been introduced this year that would lift all franchise agreements up to the level of the state, making it so that the city would effectively lose control of our own franchise agreements. And the thought is that the state could level the playing field for broadband and cable systems throughout the state if they are in more control. We're not quite sure what that ramification is going to be financially. For Caribou, that was $106,000 last year that we received because of our franchise agreement. We don't know that we would get the same amount in future years if the state takes over control of those things.
This is the cable franchise agreement?
Yes.
We didn't have a cable contract last year.
It basically is a continuation until renegotiated.
So we're just rolling it over.
Right.
Could I ask a question about that? Only because it directly concerns me. In a franchise agreement, does is the expectation that they put new lines in where there aren't any, or that or do they just maintain what presently is there?
The franchise agreement effectively just allows them to use the city right-of-way for their system as they desire to have it. But I know that's been a point of discussion with the council in the past, and I jumped over that, but we will be meeting with Spectrum later this week to actually sit down and talk about what's the possibility of expanding their system. We know that there is some funding that's coming down the pipe. We're not sure when or how much, but it is supposed to go towards broadband expansions. And this at least will start to have some discussions of what those costs might be, or where the areas of the city are that could benefit from that. So.
Is anyone allowed to go
Sure.
to that meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dennis, back up to the Thursday on Sweden Street.
Uh-huh.
Is there taxpayer money in that?
Right now, the Thursdays on Sweden events are all paid with the TIF funds.
Taxpayer money. So, just so I get a clear understanding, where this is being considered, is this going to be offered to any other business of the same nature to have an event like that on their property? We can't offer that to one and not everybody. That's just not right.
I understand your concern. We're trying to find a large enough piece of property that we could accommodate the crowds and make sure we meet the spacing. But certainly, if there's more than one business that has enough land, we could reach out to them.
And what's wrong with the street that it was always on?
Too
And
crowded.
people are gonna hoard together, whether it's there or it's in a 100-acre field, that's their decision. I mean,
It's up to the people. They want,
that's
it's
right.
up to the people.
We're
They
not
wanna go
gonna
down to
nanny
Thursday on
town
the
this
street.
to death.
Let them. Doug's exactly right. Let them go down. People, if people wanna go out, you know, we were told that these vaccines work.
Got nothing to worry about.
And
Get your
nothing to
face
worry
mask
about,
and
yeah.
your vaccinations.
Yeah, and now we're being told to wear more masks. And
Anyway, it was my concern that.
But,
Lou?
but, these are, they're more than just recommendations, and there have been communities that haven't followed them. For example, they voted on no masks, and they've lost all the federal funding. So,
We
Right.
haven't got, how much federal funding
the
have we gotten?
school has gotten a lot.
Well, that's,
Well, but I'm saying,
But-
do we wanna lose it because we
Well-
can't follow a mandate?
well, that's, I agree, okay, I get it, but that's the school, that's not us. How much money have we gotten in federal funding?
So far this year, we have the commitment of $9,000 for the airport. And then, again, we don't know how much of this other money is gonna be actually coming to us.
We're,
But the school is part of the community, and so they don't say, oh, well, the town didn't follow the mandate, so we're gonna take the money away from them. It's a clean sweep, they just stop funding. So I say if there's a mandate, we follow the mandate.
if that was the case, then the RSU needs to come back in here and we'll take care of the RSU. Because they're two separate there's two separate people.
We got no control over
We have
it.
no control over the RSU. And the RSU would say that to us. We have no control over the city. And they say it, you know, and actually, we're talking about a sidewalk, you know, that was in the RSU plan. And we're gonna have to maintain it and everything, but again, they're two separate entities.
Yeah, I didn't wanna get into an
I
RSU
know.
discussion. I just said there are certain mandates,
Yeah.
and if you don't follow the mandates, you lose the funding, so.
We're not mandating anybody not to be safe.
No, but they're yeah,
And if-
I hear you,
You
Doug, you're
know,
right.
you can look at,
Yeah, I know.
we're out shopping, everybody's trying to live their life, and a few of us are just too stubborn and only wear them when we have to, when we're forced to. Enough. Have the party where it's always been. The people of Caribou will either mask up, or mask up and get a shot, or just not go. It's not in our wheelhouse to be moving this to fit, you know, some perceived mandate, in my opinion, that's horse to begin with. Just move it. It's up to the people that go to, you know, protect yourself. You know the risk. We have no control over those citizens.
Well, and you look at the states that have taken off the mask mandate and their numbers have gone down.
Yep.
You know,
Business
and
has
that's
gone up.
facts. You know,
Anyway,
Well, we haven't finalized anything, so we can still make some adjustments, and we'll look, of course, we're anticipating and hoping that the governor will make some additional changes first part of the June or end of this month, that will open some things up some more, so. But appreciate the concerns, and we'll look at it.
I would like to hear before, you know, because I'm gonna raise the roof if this is moved to a certain place because of Augusta. When outdoor is outdoor, I don't care if you're on a long street or 10-acre field. I mean, we're not a nanny town, they're adults, and the adults take care of their children. They'll do fine.
when do we usually start Thursday on the street? In July, right?
June.
End of June, right, after school gets out.
So there you go.
Isn't it supposed to be like the
100%.
24th of May that it's 100% outdoors?
Hopefully.
I think
thought
that's what,
I think it is, because they're talking about it with the high school graduation.
75%
Yeah.
inside, like in restaurant, and 100% outdoors. So if it's by May 24th, then we should be all set by
You-
June. And
I don't know anybody that wears a mask outside. I see people single in their car with nobody around them wearing masks. I just, you know, maybe a couple of people in my travels, but
Dennis, can I speak to that? This is Christina.
Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
So by May 24th, what we're being told is that it will be 100% capacity outside, but that capacity is still limited to 6-foot distancing. So when we spoke together, it was me, the rec, Public Works, everybody who's involved, police department. We think that you cannot put 6 feet between the people that will show up for the event downtown. So having it outside with it as a concert only, where people can come and sit, wear their masks until they get to their seats, and then they can remove their masks once they're in their pods and just enjoying the concert, that's the safest way to do it.
That, I'm sorry, that's the
disagree.
most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
You're not
So
gonna
we're,
mandate
it's the
people.
same, it's the same thing as restaurants, walking into a restaurant and, you know, no, no.
I mean,
We'll see
I'm
this
not
after the
thinking of-
24th and
I'm-
kind of go from there. So, I
So
think
what are
we
you gonna
should-
do when they're not 6 feet apart? What are you gonna do when I show up and I wanna go talk to my friends or my wife or, I don't know, what are you gonna do?
I mean, in your group, you can have a pod of just 10 people. The way that I understand the rule, so that you can have a group of people that you can be around, and you don't have to socially distance people within your household, within your family, within your work family. But you still need to keep that distance from others who are not in your pod.
You know what, people
Again,
wanna
I'm
show
not
up, they
making
wanna
a
show
rule.
up. If they don't wanna show up, they don't wanna show up. So, it is what it is.
We'll know more on the 24th.
we'll know more on 24th.
X.
Anywho,
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you, Christine.
2 items that are not on the manager's report, but I received updates just today before the meeting to let you know. We received a court decision on the Akins-Lister versus the city, and the court found in favor of the city and granted the motions to dismiss on all counts. So we'll see what happens from here on that. And then also, we have some ongoing mediation with regards to the personnel matter, Longseer versus the city, and there's a meeting this Thursday between the parties to discuss mediation in that matter. And we can discuss that later tonight if you'd like as well. That's all I've got for the manager's report tonight.
Joan?
Up on new city manager recruitment, expanding focus, well, forget that. First review will be May 7th, special meeting on May 13th. Is that first review with the council or just for, is that a meeting for us too?
We're kind of moving up some things a little bit because I'm here, but primarily I'm here to make sure we get on the same page about the questions we're gonna ask. And then May 7th is the date when your ad said you'd start reviewing. I actually have them with me to give you what I have now, but
So this
I'll
is,
give you the now, but
okay, so
we'll
this,
probably meet May 13th.
okay, so I don't have to put this on my calendar
No.
for May
the
7th.
The May 7th date was.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Oh my God.
No.
You can.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right, right.
Councilors, the
Deputy.
intent was that May 7th would be the date that in which our main municipal consultant would
Right.
review those and at least formulate their recommendation to you. But May 13th is the date when
Okay.
they'll bring in all of the applications and review those with the council.
Yeah, ideally, we would have our short list determined that.
Well, when
on the
I had,
13th.
you had mentioned something like that, I think, in an email or something about May 7th, and I put it on my calendar. And then I realized, look at the meetings, are they all gonna go like that? So, okay, I can take it off. Thank you.
We want you to go to your church meetings, your school meetings. We want you to go to them all.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any questions for Dennis on this manager's report? Nice. Next, we have discussion and possible action regarding a TIF credit enhancement agreement with Gary Gagne. That's on page 17 to 31. And I guess we discussed this was just kind of a rough draft for us to.
This is a rough draft for the council to begin chewing on and looking at. Mr. Gary Gonier's planning to do a major office building renovation, has a tenant that is willing to sign a 15-year agreement. The tenant themselves will be bringing in over $640,000 of new equipment to the city. They expect $900,000 of renovation costs going into the building, and Mr. Gonier is hoping that the city council will entertain potentially a credit enhancement agreement that he would be able to receive some funding back because this isn't a TIF district, and help him recoup some of the costs associated with this bringing or maintaining this business in the city. The TIF district that he is in, the downtown TIF district, it only has 15 more years of life, and so that's the maximum length of time that a credit enhancement agreement can be put in place for him on this property right now. Also, the city council adopted by ordinance, so by law, that no credit enhancement agreement will receive more than 80% of the incremental funds for any given year. This again it's been drafted right now. It's been drafted to the maximum benefit possible, but this is another one of those that can be discussed in an economic executive session for additional negotiation and discussion with the council, if you'd like.
Does anybody have any questions on this? I guess it's just on here as a rough draft, and this is the maximum, and then we can, amongst ourselves, decide where we land with it.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be another discussion, so that's out there on the table. Next, live 10B, discussion of possible action regarding functions of library and Nylander system. And
So we received a letter of resignation from our bright, shining librarian. She's always got a bunch of spunk and
Can we
positivity.
deny her? I mean, seriously, can we just say, no, we're not going to accept it, and you got to stay here. We're sorry. I mean, it's kind of that life sentence, you know?
Right.
I mean, for Hope to leave the library is a huge hit. She's done phenomenal things up there, and I'm going to be sad to see her go.
ankle bracelet, house arrest.
Yeah, we could, can we? Get Chief Gahagan up here with one of them devices. Well, ankle
We gotta
bracelets.
have a little humor in these meetings here.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's too bad.
She certainly has very contagious optimism, and every email that she sends me always has 5 or 6 exclamation points on it.
And smiley faces.
And
And
smiley
smiley
faces, yeah.
faces. But definitely, I would concur. She's been a great asset, done some great things for the library. And so that puts us in a
There you go.
position
Yeah, I
now.
can-
Obviously, I'll be leaving the end of June. She anticipates leaving the end of July, but we want to go through this process of looking at the job advertisement for her position and also the duty assignments there. We recognize that we've been dealing with personnel items and management of the Nylander board, and what I'd like to propose to the council is that the new librarian have responsibility for the Nylander Museum as well, and that we build that into the job advertisement. That way we have whoever is volunteering at the museum or maybe be hired as part-time staff at the museum. There's a direct report there, and that direct report is to a trained professional rather than the volunteer Nylander board. And there is some crossover between the disciplines as far as collection management, asset management, documenting, assessing the collections. They have the archive collection down in the library that Anastasia Weigel's been helping us with down there, and again, very similar functions. And so we think that in the future we could essentially create the Nylander Museum as a special collection of the library and have this part of those duties. Under the charter, if we're going to make these kind of changes to a department, that the council has to approve those. And so that's why it's being brought to you tonight for some consideration.
So an ordinance would have to be put on, we have to introduce an ordinance at the next meeting or something?
If the council's agreeable to this direction, we'd have to go and draft an ordinance and have that adopted on a future agenda.
Courtney, we'll start with you and go around.
I was just curious as to what role the Nylander board would play in this scenario, if at all. I guess I'm wondering what was planned for the board.
That's where I'm going.
Right.
Right, so we have the library board that takes care of the library, right? As far as the Nylander board, they could still be an advisory board specific to the museum. And in a sense, like the planning board advises the community development staff. You have the library board that advises the library. You could still have the Nylander board that advises and helps out looking at what's going on in the museum. But at least this way, we've got somebody designated being paid to help manage the museum itself, and not directed by the Nylander board itself.
Lou?
Could I actually get something?
Who's
That'd be
this?
okay?
It's Hope.
Oh,
Sure.
Oh.
oh, you're lucky, Hope.
When Dennis brought this to me, I said, I can't do this. I already give the library between 46, 48 hours a week minimum. I mean, I go up to 60 some weeks. So I thought about it, and he talked, and he's so persuasive. And I said, here's the thing. The director could oversee, but we need to keep the Nylander board. But let them have a seat on the library board as a liaison. And we do have a seat that will be coming open. So while it is all under the purview of the library and would be as a special collection, it also needs to have its own person, which a 20-hour person that is the Nylander person. They can still be under the library, that will work great. But those are the two things that has to happen to really actually make it workable. Because the library director can't do all of that. Not if they're gonna be the library director. So it's a little thing, 20 hours a week, and then that's gonna work great. We can make it work, we'll have them on the board, they can tell us what's going on with the library. We can collaborate together, which would be amazingly awesome. And we can really strengthen both of our collections. So if they're doing Dino Days, the library can supply books for Dino Days. If they're doing Bugs and Butterflies, they've got a ton of books, but the library can supply books as well. And we're always more than willing to do that. So it just needs those two things to happen, and then really the sky's the limit. So it's a good thing, but it's a good thing with a little bit of extra.
Go back to you, Will.
Okay. I'm gonna, thank you, Hope. I personally, I thought it sounded great, but I would really like to hear from the board to see what
Okay.
their opinion, or whether they think it can work, or whether, and I know we were planning a meeting anyway. This might be a really good thing to bring up. The second piece is, every time I hear you talk about this, Dennis, and I think and this is me because I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess, is this just a first step to closing the museum?
Oh, better not be.
Are we trying to pull everything into the library?
I don't.
I don't know, I'm just.
Yeah.
I don't, that wouldn't be my intention.
That wouldn't
I
be
don't
mine
think I would
Okay,
just
because what I'm
merge it, yeah.
hearing it as
Yeah.
you know, so I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that that isn't our intent at all. We want to keep the museum
It's not
intact.
my
and-
intent.
Not my intent either.
I think the tough thing is that I don't think anybody's intent here, especially not for my seat. The
Okay.
problem is future councils, you know.
Yeah, oh, I know,
You
it's
know,
always,
that's
you
always.
can't control everything.
Yeah,
but-
I know, but no, there's too much wealth of knowledge up there and artifacts and everything else. We can't close that place.
Go ahead, Joan, please.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about, because I had a conversation with Gail Hagelstein today about this, and you're on the right track, definitely. You know, this is, in fact, I think I suggested it a while back that maybe we should combine the two, and you're on the right track. But they would like input in different things. I think, if I remember correctly, being on the board, library board was, well, we already actually, Gail, I think, is on the library board too, as well.
she's
So,
on board.
you know, you've got a representation there. But they would like to have this meeting go forward that we've postponed for so many times, and talk about this and input from the Nylander to whose role and what is going to happen. They would like, you know, some input from them, from the Nylander, as to what happens to this. And before we go any further with deciding how this is going to work, and I think that we still need to go forward with that meeting with them, with the board, and discuss how this is all going to work.
Question on that? Wait a second. The question on that, because this is adopted as an ordinance, we have to have a public hearing?
Yes.
Once you get it,
Yeah, but if we
Tweaked.
introduce the ordinance, then we'd have a public hearing. Would they be willing to be?
well,
Get the public hearing, or I don't know.
That's exactly it.
I don't know.
If we introduce it today, then we can have discussion, and they can be here for the next meeting.
No, it would be a
It-
meeting after that.
Meeting after.
but I think that they would like to go forward with the meeting that we were supposed to have with the, you know, the library, the Nylander board and the council. I think there's more issues that
Oh,
need to
yeah.
be discussed,
Oh, yeah. there is.
and, you know, and that, and now with this,
I
No.
mean, I don't see why they can't come in during a regularly scheduled council meeting. I mean, this banter back and forth, if we asked people from the rec commission to come in, guess what, they'd come in. If we asked members of the planning board to come in for a council meeting, they'd come in. This is no different.
So would we have one council meeting, Tom, just for that?
No, we'd
Oh,
have it
just
as
a
part of the
normal,
agenda.
okay.
And if we gotta go over to the rec to do it, we gotta go to the rec.
I think one of the things too is, like we mentioned, if this went in, then we'd have to have the public hearing. If we could, I know there's a lot of other issues we want to discuss about the Nylander, but if we could keep this to that one, you know what I mean? If we could, is that possible, or a lot of these things work together? I'm not sure.
I don't,
You know, I'm just saying that, like, this is
I think it's,
getting city involvement and getting that position funded that they've asked
Yeah.
for so
right,
much.
but I think that if we could get the meeting first and get some of the other issues
Okay.
worked out, only because if you do that, it's going to escalate over to other stuff, I believe. It probably would, you know. So it probably should be, and like I said, maybe we just set a date, and who can come, comes, and who doesn't,
That's what
doesn't.
we're gonna have to do. I'm all for that.
I mean, I think we should set out this ordinance, and during public input, public discussion, because it's gotta have a hearing anyway.
Yeah,
Whatever
Which
we
is gonna-
decide that night is what we decide. Everybody can come speak their piece.
4 weeks.
And so that would
Look at
put
the
us
calendar
to,
here. So we're the 3rd.
31st.
So if it went in on the 17th. we would-
31st is Memorial Day.
Excuse me, yeah, the 17th. So if we go to the 17th, was our next meeting, if it was introduced there, then even if you don't have the 10 days, it would be into June before even,
June 1st.
we could have another meeting with them in between there. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously.
A workshop or
A
something.
workshop in between, but it's to move forward with it. I mean, we're still going into
I
June.
tell everybody this, but it's sunny outside and we're firemen.
Oh, I know that, I know.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know.
if we just introduce it,
If we introduce it tonight,
no, we don't have the
No.
You
ordinance.
can't introduce it tonight.
We don't have the
a formal
ordinance.
ordinance.
well, we can make a motion to get it set up for the next meeting.
Right.
Mm.
Okay, then we introduce it. Then
Right.
we have the public hearing.
And we
And
set
then that's
public
when
hearing.
everybody comes and makes their piece. I mean,
And we
look,
just talk in between too.
I can tell you within 7 days if I'm gonna be able to come or not. And I'm gonna look at my weather app and I'm gonna say, this week, Wednesday and Thursday, look pretty good, I can be around. Cause it's supposed to rain Wednesday and 70% chance on Thursday. Maybe Friday morning. Come Friday afternoon, that ground ready, I'm planting. That's the way it's gonna be.
Right.
So, and I really would like to be a part of this Nylander thing.
I'll recommend that we have you put an ordinance together and put it on the next agenda for a potential introduction of
Right.
an ordinance, and we'll get with, be a little more studious here, we have to have this meeting. I mean, if everyone can't attend, well.
Whoever can.
We're not gonna be able to get all 7 of us plus a board
Right.
together. I mean, that's almost impossible, as we've tried
Mhm.
multiple times, so.
I'll do it during council meeting and it's
Or
not
do it during-
impossible.
yeah.
All 7 of us are here. All 7 of them can come to a council meeting.
We'll put that on an ordinance for potential introduction at the next meeting. And as far as the 20-hour week position, we can discuss that later.
The
or
intent
something.
is definitely not that we treat this as a step to closing the Nylander.
No.
It's recognizing that from the city manager seat, right now, there's really nobody except a volunteer board that is
Right.
managing the museum.
Right.
And frankly, for the city manager to get into the nitty-gritty details of managing a museum, that's part of the problem that we've been having, is you've got the volunteer board that's trying to take off and fly with it, but they're not getting all the support that they really need there or feel that they need, and so things are getting dropped. The Vista worker thing, it sounds like it was great, but it has failed recently. And if we can get some other things in place, that's what I'm trying to do, is get this in place before I leave, so that whoever steps into this role has somebody they can lean on directly, or the librarian can lean on directly to better manage that collection and make it work.
Nylander's only open on Saturdays right now,
Oh, no,
Saturdays
they're-
and Sundays.
Saturdays and
Yeah,
Sundays.
yeah, but they were, open, and in the summer, they want to be open every afternoon if they can, but.
Every afternoon, so 5 hours every. I mean, what are the hours gonna look like? Is somebody really gonna be able to do 20 hours? I mean, is that gonna be?
Well, and that's, I think, part of the discussion the board wants to have is, I think in their mind, they're probably thinking, great, now we've got somebody that can do all the programming and the be there when all the visitors come through. I think from my standpoint, I'm looking at somebody that can just get in there, make sure that the collection's where it needs to be, that they're managing the collection, they're documenting things, they're getting things in place. This position is gonna be very administratively busy for the first little while, and I think if the board continues to do their programming thing and make that work, but this is gonna be a very administratively intense position for a while, until things get where they need to be in that museum.
And they haven't had any applications, I guess, from another Vista employee. They haven't had,
So this the next.
What
this-
happened to the Vista boy?
he didn't work out. It didn't work out.
Why didn't it work out?
I don't-
Schedule or?
He didn't have anyone overseeing him.
That's
Executive
exactly
session if you
right.
want.
So
you
then
know.
we're back to
Basically-
the issue of.
Yeah.
Basically, they weren't able
Because-
to.
because-
Executive session, absolutely. I'd love to hear why.
Well-
I think in general, the job performance was
Right.
not satisfactory.
The what, Dennis?
The job performance of the Vista worker
Not satisfactory to who?
to
The board?
the board.
Well, it'll be an ordinance the next time, and it sounds like at the same time we'll discuss, as an agenda item, we'll discuss, wanting to put it on the 20-hour week position as a separate discussion to bounce around there as far as the budget.
Is there an
Okay.
exit interview? Sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
Is there an exit interview with that Vista worker?
Probably not.
Through the Vista agency, I believe there were some discussions.
I'd like to see that.
I'll see what I can find.
Thank you.
10C, discussion, possible action, access easement. Where are we at here? That is on page 33.
So with regards to this access easement discussion, when the new school project was being designed, the committee that was getting together and looking over the project, they discussed the flow of pedestrians / students along Bennett Drive trying to get up to the wellness center. And the improvement plans indicate that as part of this overall project, there was going to be the installation of sidewalk between Liberty Street and the wellness center. And I guess there's lots of students that cross the road, go to the Irving station, pick up their snacks, and then walk up Bennett Drive to get to the wellness center. And so the hope was that there would be some sidewalk installed on that east side of Bennett Drive. Well, the right-of-way that is there is too narrow to accommodate sidewalk in the public right-of-way. And so to install a sidewalk and have that be adjacent to curb, we're effectively, or the RSU would effectively be putting sidewalk, a public improvement, on private property. And Dunkin' Donuts already installed sidewalk along their frontage. That was a point of discussion when they came in, and they were willing to do that. Irving, as I understand, is amenable to these improvements, and one of the other property owners is also agreeable to having it improved along their property. The question the RSU has is where this is, in order to go, and they can either try to acquire the property from the property owners and put the sidewalk in, or simply get an easement, a public access easement that allows the public to have that right to be on the sidewalk and have a sidewalk there. The RSU's concern is they're acting on behalf of the city council to acquire a public access easement. Is the city council willing to accept those easements and the improvements for, if they go out and they get them and they install all of the sidewalk at the school district / state expense as part of the project? So that's really the question, is the council willing to accept these access easements and improvements if the RSU goes out and gets the rights and puts the improvements in?
I guess, so what happens when the sidewalks degrade over the years? Are we responsible for replacing them?
It would be all turned over to the city, and we would be responsible for it.
And we would be responsible for plowing and everything else?
The same as all the other sidewalks in the city.
So they would pay for them? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so they would pay for them, and then after that, we'd have these sidewalks. How long's the sidewalks generally last? Dave, still on? 6 to 8 years, maybe?
Generally, asphalt in a road is, you count on about 7 years. Where this is going to have limited traffic, you can maybe get 8 to 10 years out of it.
I mean, to me, it's a public safety for the kids, because a lot of kids, I mean, I did it when I was a kid. I go over to Irving, go get something to eat, and then they got to dart back across traffic. But most of these kids are walking across Dunkin' Donuts and walking across all the other properties. And, well, let's face it, they don't teach traffic laws in school for these kids, you know, including my son. I tell you, stay on the sidewalk. It's so easy. I don't know.
And they're all businesses that are involved there are on board with that?
The only property owner that I understand has not consented or given a positive response right now is the property owner right on the corner, across from the wellness center.
Oh, the old appliance place.
Yeah, the appliance. Corner appliance?
Yeah, sounds right.
But everybody
So you-
else,
Go ahead, Sue.
everybody else right now has indicated they'd be willing to let the school district go in and put the sidewalks in and grant those easements.
So, and if that person, why wouldn't they put in 2 crosswalks, redo the existing sidewalk?
On the
The
west
light
side?
across, I'm saying if that last person up there doesn't want a sidewalk on the property. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not following you.
Because then you have the kids.
The last property up there that hasn't got they haven't got a warm reception from
Right.
on the corner, say they don't. Why wouldn't they, instead of reinventing the wheel, just redo the sidewalk from the school up and put a crosswalk with lights on it? Something safe there and back here at the store.
There is already sidewalk on the west side of Bennett Drive, and there will be a flashing.
That's what I mean. You would, yeah.
I mean, short of reading the Kids the Riot Act, you know, bring them all in, and some big burly guy tell them, listen, you cross over to Irving, and then you cross right back. Do not go across there. Give you detention and make you right. I will not cross. You know, Bart Simpson type thing.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Absolutely, I'll go in.
You're gonna go
you
in and
know?
tell them?
They've got the digital chalkboards now. They can just do a copy paste.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yes, there is already sidewalk on the west side of Bennett Drive, and it has, as part of this project, is being re-improved. So they'll have sidewalk all the way up on the west side. And there would be crosswalks. You already have a crosswalk
Right.
at the intersection of the Wellness Center, and with Irving being willing to put the sidewalk in on their side, you'll have another crosswalk with ramps at the corner of Liberty and Bennett.
I for one would feel better if the guy or the person up on the corner was, you know, on board with it. I'm not so sure you know.
Wouldn't that be up to the RSU to figure out if the
Yeah,
percentage
it's
or
not
not?
our
Right.
problem.
But it's
Yeah.
gonna come back to us to maintain that. We've got, and
Yeah.
again, this is about safety for the kids, and I know that has precedence, but let's not lose sight of the miles, 15+ miles of sidewalk that we have now that we can't keep up with.
Yeah.
We can't maintenance, it's not getting maintenance, the curbs are shot, the surfaces are shot. We just gotta keep that in mind as we think of these things.
Well, and I can guarantee that I'm sorry, Courtney, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
I was just gonna, I just don't see kids. I have kids. I know how they are. I think basically what Tom said, they're not gonna cross back across and go up. They're gonna walk. If they go to Irving, they're gonna walk right up that side of the street. And I'm concerned a lot of kids walk that path every day.
Yeah, nothing to drag.
I think it's worth the city's interest in doing that.
I don't, at this point in time, nobody's asking the city to say we're going to eminent domain a sidewalk easement. That hasn't even, tonight, from my mouth, is the very first time that's ever been said. That's not something that's been discussed, and I don't think anybody's asking for that.
Well, and I can see that this will be one of those sidewalks that it gets brought back to us and says, well, do we really have to snow blow that in the wintertime? You know?
Or going up one side, you're gonna go down the other side.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's,
I mean, I think it would be up to the RSU to go and talk to the damn boys and say, hey,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I think that's up to
Right.
them. You know, look, to keep the kids safe, I'll do just about anything. But, you know.
so they're just asking
So
us
they're-
to accept it if they do it.
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
they're looking for us to make a motion to support their preliminary work on getting these sidewalks in and then eventually turning them back over to us.
Right.
But, so they just want a motion to tell them, go ahead.
Yes, as a city, we would accept the public access easements if they do the work and put the improvements in.
Mhm.
So
Um,
moved.
I just think there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, like Doug said, what's the point of putting in the sidewalk if they get all the way up to Duncan? Because they already crossed the road right there, and then they walk through the parking lot over to Duncan, and then they have the crosswalk there, but what's the point of doing it if the property there says no?
Well,
I
I
mean, for-
believe Progressive have already said yes. That was stated at the last.
Who said?
Progressive
Progressive.
Realty.
Kathy.
Just north, this is
Yeah.
two different properties
Right.
here.
So Progressive said yes,
And-
but the Dan boys said no. Or we don't know
Well,
what
they
they
haven't,
said.
they
We don't
just
know.
They
haven't
haven't made up their
answered.
mind. So for me, I would like to see if the RSU can talk to them and say, hey, this is what we want to do. And if they get an okay, then yeah, I don't see why not. But, you know, going all that way, if we could just put lights down here and then, you know, put somebody up on the roof so they can watch these kids with binoculars.
Sniper.
No, don't snipe.
Well, we used to have a crossing guard there, but they put the light in instead.
Mm. Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Remember,
I
she used
do,
to help
yeah.
them across. Because I know, like what Tom just said, they're gonna cross to Irving and then, and Courtney said it as well, they're just gonna run up
They're
through
gonna go.
someone's lawn or whatever, and if there's no sidewalk there, they're gonna make their way anyway. And it's real tight there, I don't know if you guys have picked any kids
Oh,
up there
yeah.
lately, but people going north and then going into the school and crossing over the school, that is really tight. So if there are kids on the periphery with no sidewalk, they're gonna get hit.
Yeah, well, and,
It's just so tight.
oh, there you guys go ahead.
Doug next.
I can support it from the seat, but I would rather they do their work and bring back a package. Don't bring it half finished with one holdout or I don't wanna say holdout, one that's undecided. Bring it back.
Well,
But if we think that's gonna be the catch-all to end all, I mean, it's not gonna be. I agree that it's good. If they wanna do it and it works out, they get everybody on board, I'm on board. But if we think as a city that that's gonna be the catch-all, end-all, kids are kids. They will always be kids. But to me, go get the package. Go do your diligence and get everybody on board on that street. And then we can sit down as a council and say, okay, what are we looking at for dollars? I know nobody wants to talk about dollars versus safety, but we have to look at it. We have to look at long-term when we take in consideration, we got 15+ miles that we can't keep up with now. Just a thought.
Courtney?
Well, I was just gonna say that the way this reads, it sounds like they're only asking for this if they can get that one section that they don't have. It says if the RSU provides all costs associated with their acquisition and installation, so.
Okay. So it is, the project
That
is
is what it's
contingent on
saying.
that.
so what about Angle Street back there? Can the kids walk across and then
In the
and
back.
go around? Because ultimately they're going to the rec for programs and they're going to the tennis courts. Can we, because you have a lot less traffic on Angle Street than you do on Bennett Drive. And if we have the two lights and then they shoot right out behind on Angle Street, when are you gonna see the most kids? Between right now, and if we ever get back to normal, maybe it'll change, but 1:45 to, and kids get out at 2, but 1:45 to about 5, because kids have tennis practice from 3 to 4 and then 4 to 5. That's where you're gonna see the most population of children. And like Lou said, that road is so narrow as it is. I mean, shoot them around, I don't know.
Did you have a motion?
I did, but no one said it. I was gonna,
No,
just a real
You
quick.
just said some, and then discussion went around. So do
Yeah,
you still have
I-
a motion?
Yeah, I'd still support the motion that we go ahead and
I second it.
allow the RSU to do their thing.
Yeah, I second it.
Motion second. Now let's continue discussion. You had discussion?
I only have a quick comment. I used to run the after-school program at the Learning Center, which abutted and Angle Street, we had to finally send a teacher down there because more kids got beat up on that section because no one can see them. So they go up and around those buildings and it's, meet me at, after school, and they have their little fights back there. So I would be a little concerned sending my, 4th or 5th grader up when the middle schoolers are pummeling each other. So just a side.
See people nodding their heads. when we're
I have to agree with Lou, because even before you just said that, that's what I was thinking, was that no one can see the
No
kids
one
really
can
when
see
they're
them.
walking behind all those big buildings, and
Yeah.
it's probably not the safest route.
Just an aside.
Oh, they're gonna go and fight anywhere they please, guys. Whether it's there, it's the trellis on Cullen's Pond, it's over here, they're gonna go fight. I mean,
The dugouts.
okay.
Is there any more discussion on this?
No,
Item? Bear,
no.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
No.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. 5-2, motion carries. Public easement, okay, D, E, you're gonna go down to disappear and go to 13B.
So,
Well,
councilors, item 10D, just so you're aware.
Oh, okay.
There's no action that we're ready to make on that or even discussion on that one, so that one we can just table to future meeting.
Okay, so there's
On
no
which one,
updates.
Dennis?
10D,
10B.
D is
D,
in dog.
D.
Oh, D is in.
Firefighter.
There was no
I'm
updates on
familiar
that
with
one,
D.
so that. Okay, and the same with E, that's,
Yeah.
we sent the email out on that. Okay, 11A, old business. Discussion of possible action regarding collective bargaining agreement with the New England Police Benevolent Association Local 605. Okay. Wishes of council.
I move we accept the proposal
I'll
as
second.
negotiated.
I'll second it.
We have a motion on the floor, moved and seconded to accept the TNA, or TA agreement from the police. Discussion. There, oh,
Dennis, so you sent out an email. What is the total cost of this?
The agreement as it's been discussed right now is no budget impact this year. As far as its future year impacts, at this point, I would request that we move into executive session to discuss that further, because it's one of those terms that can't be discussed until the contract's been approved.
So,
we have a motion and second right now.
end discussion?
Any discussion, any more discussion on this?
Yes, me.
Go ahead. Oh, no, excuse me. I know, you're,
So, we know it's not gonna impact us this year, but in year 2 and 3, it could. And that would be something to discuss in executive session, the dollar amounts and figures and the actual impact.
Yes.
Because I don't think we've talked about that in executive session, have we?
yes.
We did last-
Again,
last
I'm happy
meeting.
to talk about all of that
Uh,
in executive session.
Well, emotions, I don't know, I feel I'd like a little bit more information. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not for it, I'm not saying I'm against it. I just, again, would like a little bit more information. What's the impact down the road,
Right.
you know?
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying, so,
Discussion. Air.
no.
Oh, Mark, go ahead, please. Step in there.
During the labor negotiations, when they started, I was hoping that we would have less language in our contracts. Oh, the overwhelming majority of our issues, when we deal with labor issues, is dealt with the language that's within these contracts. It's never about the dollar amount per hour. It's always about how people interpret. So I was hoping for less language. I was also willing, and I made the statement, that I'd be willing to pay more money per hour in exchange for less language. One of my philosophy positions is we can be better today than we were yesterday, and we can be better tomorrow than we are today. From my point of view, this labor contract that is for discussion hasn't come close to meeting my goals of a reduction of this confusion. We can do better, but I want to make it very clear, we can do better not only for the taxpayers of Caribou, we can do better for our employees we're just gonna go a little bit in the weeds here. Caribou is in need of, how do I wanna phrase this now? I'm freewheeling here, give me a minute. Caribou is in need of experienced workforce, a talented workforce. These contracts and our other employees are that talented workforce. And the rub is, we can only buy from them, they can only sell to us. Confusion is causing a lot of problems here, and that's part of the language. So I'm gonna be voting against this contract at this time. Thank you.
Any more discussions? We had Air,
No.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
No.
Morale,
No.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Motion carries.
Dennis, that amount of money, that's coming out of their operational budget this year.
Yes,
That's not coming from any bank money we put away, it's gonna come out of their own pocket.
it's all planned for operations.
Okay. Report and discussion by mayor and council members. Okay, we'll start with you, Tom.
Yeah, about, I'd say 2-3 weeks ago, I was approached by, or I was called by Tom Hale from the Caribou Assembly of God. And they were doing their first ever feet washing. And the way they explained it to me is that Jesus was around his disciples and he washed their feet for love. And apparently it's out in Jerusalem and in Egypt it's pretty dirty out there because of the desert. And so you'd take a shower or you could bathe, but by the time you got back to your house you'd have to wash your feet because you're dirty. So he asked that a council member come, and I went Saturday or Sunday with my family, and
Where was that? Caribou Assembly?
that was the Caribou Assembly of God across from Reno's. I was accompanied by Captain Raymond and Chief Mike Hagan, and I was really pleased at the outcome of everything. But what struck me the most in that whole thing was a gentleman got up and he talked about his walk through life and the troubles. And this gentleman I grew up with, and a lot of admiration. There are places, and I'm talking to the community now, there are places to seek help. You don't have to go down that rabbit hole alone. You can, there support, there are wonderful churches around this community. I just visited one, and I haven't gone to church in I don't know how many years. I mean, back when the UU was still up and running. But after hearing this gentleman's story, it really took to me that we still have an issue up here with a lot of things. And let me tell you, if he can do it, anybody can. We grew up together, and you know, I have a lot of admiration for this gentleman. And let me tell you, he can help. A lot of people can help. And don't think you're going at this alone, because you're not. And don't think that your family doesn't love you anymore, because they do. And what's happened to us, my age group, and age groups younger than me, is pretty scary. And thankfully we have our police dog now, and we have a force that is in tune with it. And you know, I definitely want to thank not only the police but the fire and ambulance for having to do what they do with the Narcan and having to go up to these people. But I think the biggest thing, and I know that these two departments do it, is they try to help. They help these people get back on their feet And I know it breaks their heart just as it would me to see repeat people. There's help out there. Go get it. And I think I would like for, this, there's something that we could do as a city as far as posting, on our webpage, hey, do you need help? Or something that we can do as an outreach. And I know a lot of these areas do a lot of outreach. I'm just wondering what else we can do to get it out there. Because let me tell you, that's no way to live. When you've got to wake up and you've got to do something in order to even function, I've been there, it sucks. It's not good. But you know what? This gentleman, he found Jesus Christ, and we're going back. And I'm not a faithful person. Des and I have had these chats. I believe there's something up there. But you know what? After being around those people and the interaction my family had with them, I was really, really pleased at how everything was and the struggle that this gentleman went through. And bottom line, there's people to help. And let's see what we can do to a little bit more outreach. I'd like to see just a little bit more.
So you were invited as a counselor?
Yeah.
And then, so
Yeah,
that kind of triggered
yeah, and
that
Danny
in.
Raymond, Captain Danny Raymond and Chief Gahagan, and I met them there. And I didn't even know they were going, and we met. And we sat up in the front row, and we listened to Tom Hale speak, listened to his brother speak, Bob Hale, and listened to Mr. Hollibird speak. And it was pretty interesting. Just the different things, and so.
Can you reach out to him and see if he'll do an invitation for us at the next meeting?
Who, Tom?
Yeah, or somebody
Yeah,
from that church.
absolutely.
We haven't had them. We've been kind of rotating it around, so if
Yeah.
you'd like to check in on that, we can.
Yeah, I
provide to
mean,
you.
I think the pastor, I forgot the pastor's name
Yeah.
at Caribou Assembly of God, but I thought he looked familiar. I think he's given an invocation before.
Has he
Yeah,
been-
I think
Yeah.
Oh, he has, I didn't make it, okay.
But I think Tom would do one. I think Mr. Hollibird would do one.
Absolutely. Just keep those- Oh, Doug, you.
Dennis, I sent you an email about a Route 1 home is just I don't even know how to describe it.
I've been past it.
If you've looked
Yes.
at it, which if you drive to Presque Isle, you cannot help but see it. The garbage is stacked up to the windows, been there for years. We have got to get something done there, and it seems like it gets taken care of, and then it falls back into this again. It just looks terrible.
Is that the property that one of the ones that we retained?
No.
No, we didn't retain it.
No,
We-
after
we
you
can't
go
re-
past
We
the
can't
auto
retain
dealer.
this one.
It's a rental property. We have already engaged the owners, and we're,
It's the little on the right.
yes.
We're the only one with garbage stacked up, but it's important, I think, that we deal with it. And then if it comes back, if we can't keep that, or they or whoever cannot keep that place clean, maybe it's gonna take some sort of wooden barrier, something, because it is just appalling looking at.
Is it on tribal land?
Mhm.
It is, isn't it?
Yep.
We have, and that's the tough part, we have zero jurisdiction.
Oh, it was that one, okay.
Mhm.
I'm on the page with you now. I
50/50?
I'm thinking of it.
Well,
I'm
it's-
thinking of a
it's
It's
different
not
property.
necessarily,
Yeah, it's-
Is it still a
So
pilot
we-
we've
program?
engaged the McMacs, and we're trying to work through the issue. They recognize that it's not being upkept, and we're trying
okay,
to
yeah.
work through those.
Is
those
it
issues.
still a pilot program? A payment in lieu of taxes?
We had some, I don't know if that particular property's included.
I recall we visited this many years ago when it was a different home setting there. And, it ended up getting cleaned up, which was wonderful after a while, but, and then that property was removed, and at the time, it looked like what appears to be a double wide was put in. It was new, everything looked
Yeah.
nice, and then here we are again. That's all I have.
Okay, let's go around. Courtney, did we have a Go ahead, can I get all kinds of?
Yeah, just a quick update. We had a public safety meeting today, our first one. And we were able to hear a little bit about some of the plans for the police station building that was presented 2019, Dennis?
Early 2020.
Or early 2020, but it's kind of had been tabled. So we started looking at that and looking at some of those plans, and we hope to meet with the architects sometime soon. Did we nail that down, Dennis?
The proposed date is May 13th.
Okay, so we're hoping to meet with them and start looking over some things in more detail.
Perfect. Will, did you have anything? on there?
No. I pretty much talked, we had a meeting and, you know, they're still looking for.
Yeah, and if you could reach out to them again and
Yeah.
let's, as we discussed
Get
earlier.
together and stuff.
Together. Mark, do you have the only thing, which didn't get scheduled, you and I talked the other day about the investment committee meeting, and then we just never got that scheduled, but I'll be scheduling one of those shortly here. I know we got a bunch of stuff coming up, so I'm trying not to clutter it up too much to move forward with all kinds of different ideas on that one. So that's all I have for reports and discussion by mayor and council members.
Make a motion, we go into executive session, personnel matters under subsection 405.6.a.
Yep, and, that's a motion to
Second.
go in. Second. Air.
Aye.
No discussion. No. Air. Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Nay.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Executive session, but I believe Danielle's probably got some signatures.
No.
You don't have anything for us to sign?
No.
Wow.
First time for everything.
You must know. Yeah. Well. So,
Turn off your mics.
yeah, that's a good thing.